All right, we are live, and I'm here with the folks from North Royalton, I'm going to ask a series of questions related to your project. I certainly appreciate your time today, and this is our reflection interview, so to speak, so we'll go from here. So first of all, could I ask the teacher to give your name and your project name, please?
Sure. My name is Jessica Conley, and the project name was Mousetrap Car Modifications.
Jessica, talk a minute about what your driving question was.
Basically, the driving question was, how will the students modify a mousetrap car to either go faster or to go a further distance?
Great. And we have two other folks that are in today, so if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and just explain your role with the project.
Hi, my name is Anne Radefeld. I helped Jessica coordinate the technology for her project.
And I'm Melissa Voida, and I am the Director of Curriculum and Instruction for North Royalton City Schools.
Thank you so much. So Jessica, let's talk for a minute about what your major steps of the project were.
Well, first, the students had to know the standards, so obviously we went through lessons previously, like leading up to the project. The students researched, they reviewed and kind of dug a little deeper into the standards. They collaborated with their teams. They created, they built, they tested, and they presented their findings.
Great.
It was.
And what were some observations that you had in regards to those major steps?
As far as.
Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about yourself. Okay. What would you think was the most important thing you learned in this project, Jessica?
Not to underestimate our students. They did a fabulous job. I was a little nervous going into this because I had never done something to this magnitude before, but they really pulled through and were so impressive.
Now, Jessica, just talk for a quick. How long have you been a teacher in the system?
9 years, I think. I think this is my 9th year.
All right, and the reason why I ask that question is because oftentimes I'm doing the reflection videos, and I have folks that are, some teachers that this is their first and second year, and I've had folks that have had, 15 to 20 years in. So that's always a good observation when I hear that. When I hear the comment about don't underestimate the students, that's great to hear. Jessica, if you had a chance, you could go back in that Wayback Machine. What do you wish you could have spent a little more time on, or what could you have done differently with your project?
Time, well, let's see. I had never done this project before, so I think reflecting back, I would have stuck to something I knew a little bit more in detail. So I was new to it, the students were new to it, so that was a little bit challenging and stressful. And my timing with the project, I think I should have started something with a smaller magnitude, and then my timing was all off. So it kind of dragged on a little bit longer than I had expected.
Now, in typical teacher fashion, we're always reluctant to give ourselves gold stars. But I want you to take an opportunity to give yourself a gold star and say, when you answer the question, what part of the project do you feel you did your best work on?
I mean, I think the kids know their stuff, so like as far as the standards that I'm required to teach them. And then I think really it was more of a partnership with the students. I wasn't lecturing, I was more facilitating. So that was great because I definitely have a different rapport with the students that I worked with in a positive way.
Now, the other two that are in relation to Jessica's work on the project, are there any other observations you might have in relation to things that she should, work differently, or her gold star work, or what are some of your observations?
I'll be happy to comment first. Jessica came recently to a curriculum committee advisory program that we have here in North Royalton, and she brought some of her students with her to present the project, which was fantastic. It was great for teachers at other levels to see the kind of work that's being done in 6th grade. I had the privilege of being her principal also before moving into this role that I'm in now, so I can attest that she's a teacher leader, and what she's learned from this project, and just by seeing how the kids have interacted and really embraced it, And I think what we liked about it was students at all levels. We talk a lot about, I think sort of there's a thought that project-based learning applies to students that are gifted or that sort of need an enrichment approach, but we really found that all students are benefiting from this type of learning, and so that is something that she shared out at that meeting, and I know she'll continue to share out with her colleagues here at the middle school as well as within our district.
And Ann, what's your thoughts as far as I'll be asking you questions related to the project, but how was your interaction with Jessica?
So I helped Jessica figure out what kind of technology she wanted to use during this, and I really appreciated the fact that she was willing to take some risks and try some new tools that she really wasn't familiar with. So not only did she familiarize herself with these tools, but she also was able to take that to her students. And I second what Melissa said. Jessica is definitely a real teacher leader, and I appreciate that, because now that Jessica knows these technology tools, she can share that with her colleagues.
Wonderful. Now let's focus a minute just on the project itself. And so, Jessica, what I'm going to ask you is, what was the most enjoyable part of the project?
I think allowing the students to think outside the box a little bit. You know, it wasn't just like one size fits all. Them interacting on a completely different level. They were like little adults in the classroom. They were like going to work, you know, they should have had their suits on. Observing the students make errors but not get frustrated by that. They were able to learn from their mistakes. They troubleshooted together and then modified their outcomes a little bit, and they learned a great deal through that process. Just listening to their conversations was amazing. And then the concepts that they actually learned throughout this project were above grade level, so they gained so much from this project.
Now, unfortunately, in typical fashion, I asked you what your most favorite part was. What would you say was your least enjoyable part of the project, related to the project?
Frustrating. Let's see. Finding the availability of technology was a challenge because of all the testing, and I mean, you know, obviously they had to extend our deadline a little bit. The unknown for me, I think that was worrisome. You know, I wasn't confident in what I was doing because I wasn't sure. I hadn't done it before. That's pretty much it.
Think about I hope you have the opportunity to do this project again, and if you do it again, what would you, what might you do differently, or what might you change to make it better the next time you do this project?
Specific to my project,
yes.
I would probably not use mousetrap cars and maybe use something like a dynamic car of some kind that they would have to modify, or that they would have to build on their own. I got my finger snapped a couple times, so and you know, the materials were costly, so I would scale it down a little bit as far as that's concerned, but I definitely think it's doable, and we're looking for next year already to put it into our plans.
Wonderful. Now think for a moment about how, you know, give me some specific examples or some opportunities that you had an opportunity to integrate technology in your project.
So we used, the students had to research, so they're familiar with that. They were researching mousetrap cars. They are geniuses with Google Docs, and they did things that I had no idea they could. You know, I just wanted them to collaborate and create a blueprint for their plans, and they were drawing and, you know, sharing their documents. It was amazing. And then they also were required to create an electronic presentation, so they had to choose a platform for that presentation as well.
Very neat. Well, then I'm going to ask you the last question, and I'm going to kind of sound it off on all three of you. But first, obviously, Jessica, when you think about the impact of that technology integration side of it, what was that impact that tech integration had with you and even with your students?
I think for the most part, it just made it more formal for the students. You know, we are using technology when we can on a daily basis in the building, but just the fact that they were able to collaborate with each other, it made it more formal and more real world. And like I said, they are doing amazing things. They, you know, you present them with something and they just take off running with it. So I thought that was fabulous.
I would agree. I would just add just on the collaboration piece for that. I think that when we think of the old ways of doing group projects together, you had to make arrangements to sit down and physically be together, or you had to share a file folder with one another. And because technology opens the world for that, where they can communicate and collaborate at any time, in the evening, in the morning, right when they're sitting in the same room together electronically, it really opens the doors and for ideas and opportunities to just flow and generate and make things better.
Definitely.
What's your thoughts, Anne?
I agree. I think that the more we can help, or from my perspective, really, the more I can help the teachers integrate technology into the classroom, the more successful the students will be. I think that the students are learning so differently than we learned in school. And even as, you know, I've been teaching for 11 years, even the teachers that are brand new, the teachers that are brand new have even learned differently from these students. When I go to a kindergarten and I watch the kids on the iPads and they know it so much better than the teachers do, I am in awe, because I think to myself, as this child grows up, how can we accommodate the child in the system? Because we want to facilitate the learning and we want to help the child develop. But I think sometimes, because the teacher is not comfortable, we're almost dampering the child's ability. And I think that more and more, if we can get technology integration into the classroom, our children will succeed.
Well, I thank all of you. And I appreciate all the support with the project. And hopefully we can see each other again. So once again, I thank you all.
Thank you.
You.